Good day everyone, I'm Jess Benedict M. Canedo. I'm reporting about power system protection equipment. For our components of power system needs to be protected, ay yung mga components ng ating power system na kailangan natin protektahan is yung generators, transformer, bus bars, and also the transmission lines. For our protective system elements, we have a fuses, protective relays, circuit breakers, instrument transformer including current transformer and voltage transformer, and the DC supply system. For our fuses, a fuse is a sort of low resistance resistors that serve as a sacrificial device to safeguard electronic equipment against overcurrent damage. And also, a fuse prevents further harm for occurring due to overheating or fire by interrupting an excessive current prevented. Si fuse is isa sa mga pinakamahalaga na device, which is sabi nga dito, it is a sacrificial device para maprotektahan yung ating mga electronic equipment against overcurrent damage. Next is the relays. Whenever an abnormal state is identified by a protective relay, a circuit breaker is stripped, which is a tiny device designed to sense the abnormal state. Si relay, isa rin sa mga pinakamahalaga kasi once na naka-identified si protective relays ng isang abnormal state, the circuit breaker is automatically tripped or magko-close. Next is types of relays. First we have an electromechanical relays. Electromechanical relays are electrical switch that are commonly used to control high power electrical equipment. Ginagamit daw sa electromechanical relays to control the higher power in electrical equipment. Next is the static relays. Static relays, it is higher sensitive than purely electromechanical relays. Also static relays provide fast operation, long life, and low maintenance. Si static relays ay meron siyang no moving parts and minimeasure niya. Isa rin to is yung minimeasure niya yung elements of the static relays between or from the diodes, Zener diodes, or the PNP and NP and transistors. Also to other combinations. Sa static relays ay nagpo-provide din siya ng fast operation and long life or yung kanyang pagsiservisyo ng matagal or the durability, and sa pinakamahalagaan dito is yung low maintenance. Next is the numerical relays. In numerical relays, the relays has multiple microprocessor design. The microprocessor perform the software functions such as signal processing, protection algorithm, and handling the human interface. Si numerical relays is designed or naka-design siya sa in microprocessor which nagpe-perform in the software functions sa signal processing, protection algorithm, and other interface or other human interface. Next is the thermal relays. Thermal relays, it is a basic fundamental working concept of a thermal relay that when a bimetallic strips is heated up by heating coil that is carrying over current from the system, it bends and creates normally open contacts. Ang concept daw ni thermal relays is when the bimetallic is heated up by the heating coil. So the carrying over current from the system and magki-create daw ito ng normal open contacts. Next is the circuit breaker. So circuit breaker or interruptible power supply, or the UPS, is an electrical switch that operates automatically to protect an electrical circuit from damage caused by overcurrent, overload, or short circuit. Its primary role is to interrupt current flow when protective relays detect a fault, which is when it is used. So napakahalaga ng ating circuit breakers kasi nga ito rin isa sa mga interruptible power supply. So ito rin is pinaprotekta niya yung ating electrical circuit from the damage na manggagaling or nagdudulot sa overcurrent and overload or other short circuit power. So ang primary role daw ni circuit breaker is to interrupt the current flow when the protected relays detect a fault state. Si circuit breaker daw is magti-trip once na nakadetect si protective relay ng isang fault. So in amperes naman, the rated current is displayed on the circuit breaker's label, although it is not including the unit symbol A. Instead, amperes figure is preceded by letter B, C, or D, which is denote the current that is tripping at the time of measurement. So, sinasabi dito na the symbol A is not included. So, the ampere figure preceded by the letter B. So, in type B, so the tripping current in type B, so 3 is 3 to 5 time full load current, or in operating time, we have 0.04 to 13 seconds. When it comes in letter C, so in tripping current, we have 5 to 10 minutes at 5 to 10 times full load current, and the operating time is 0.04 to 5 seconds. And the last one, for our type D, the tripping current is 10 to 20 times full load current, and the operating time is 0.04 to 3 seconds. Next, for our type of our circuit breaker. So first we have an oil circuit breaker. So an oil circuit breaker is a type of circuit breaker in which the isolating oil can be utilized as a quenching medium, which is one of the most application. So si oil current breaker, it is an old type of our circuit breaker. So the main function ng oil circuit breakers is to separate the insulating oil. Next is the air circuit breaker. So an air circuit breaker is a overcurrent and short circuit protection for electrical circuits within currents ranging from 800 amps to 10,000 amps are provided by circuit breaker. They are typically utilized in low voltage applications with the voltage is less than 450 volts. Next type of our circuit breakers, we have SF6 circuit breaker, or the sulfur hexafluoride circuit breaker. So a circuit breaker is in which SF6 under pressure gas is used to extinguish the arc. And the dielectric, arc quenching chemical, and other physical characteristic of SF6 gas has demonstrated its advantage over conventional arc quenching media such as oil or air. So si SF6 or si sulfur hexafluoride circuit breaker, also a colorless, odorless, non-toxic, and non-flammable gas. Next is the vacuum circuit breaker. So in vacuum circuit breaker, it is referred to as a vacuum interrupter because the function of switching on and off current carrying contacts as well as interconnected arc interruption is carried out in a vacuum chamber within breaker during while the time the breaker is closed. So si vacuum circuit breaker as referred din as a vacuum interrupter na kung saan yung isa sa mga function niya is to interconnected the arc interruption na manggagaling sa ating vacuum chamber within the breaker during time na kung saan ang breaker is closed or or trip yung ating circuit breaker. So for other circuit breaker, so we have a recloser. So for our recloser, so they are used in overhead electric power distribution system to prevent the short duration faults from causing sustained outage. Next is the pulley switch. So a pulley switch is also known as a resettable fuse. So it is made of crystal polymers. So ito ay ginagamit sa computer power supply, aeroscope, aerospace, and nuclear application, and also in loudspeaker. Next is the earth leakage circuit breaker. So in earth leakage circuit breaker, it is one terminal of the relay coil is connected to the metal body of the equipment to be protected against the leakage, and other terminal is connected to the earth directly. Next is the residual current circuit breaker. So it is an CT core is energized from both phase wire and neutral wire. Then the polarity of the phase winding and neutral winding on the core is a chosen dot. So in normal condition of MMF of one winding oppose that of another. Next is the current transformer. So in current transformer, in orders for relays, meters, SCADA, transducers, and other devices to function properly, so current transformer must be primary system current to values that are usable by them. So current transformer, they have a ratio that express as primary to secondary. So we have 2000 is to 5, 1200 is to 5, 600 is to 5, and so on. Next, for our voltage transformer. So in order to safely isolate and step down the voltage for a safety device or relay, voltage transformer must be utilized. So si voltage transformer, siya ay ginagamit to step down the voltage for the safety device of a relay, or the voltage transformer must be utilized. So in voltage transformer ratio, it is typically expressed as a primary to secondary, like 14,400 is to 120 and 7,200 is to 120. Next, the last is for our DC supply system. So all of the circuit breaker in the electric power system are operated by DC, or the direct current, because the DC power may be stored in a battery. If a situation arises in which the incoming power is completely lost, the circuit breaker can be still activated to restore the condition using the power stored in the battery. So ito rin is isa mga pinakamahalaga kasi yung function nito is the power is na-stored directly sa battery. which is sa sitwasyon na kung saan the power is completely lost. So, ang ating circuit breaker pa din is still activate and restore the condition using the power stored in the battery o yung mga power na na-charge sa ating battery. So, yun is pwede natin siya magamit as an alternative source natin. So, that's all. Thank you.